opens up huge. Shall save the team. He was really fantastic.
Wow, that damage output! Quas in a 1v2! Are you serious? Quas, man. Nice little bind, Pavelter. Oh my god, the damage output!
Nice little bind, huh? That's how it always starts.
How long till he starts pulling Morgana bans in this game? This is gonna be the game. CLG with a fast one.
Aftermoon has been making a lot of people cry.
Welcome everyone to the North American League Championship Series Spring Split. Here we see the fans in the crowd excited as ever for some games today, and of course outside lined up already showing support for their favorite teams. Cloud9 arriving just a moment ago, looking all business as they try to continue their climb up the standings. And of course they'll be facing off against Coast, Mash, and Jezz trying to stop that momentum in our first match of the day. The crowd is fired up in our studio home on the West Coast, and it's shaping up to be an action-packed day on the Rift. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson. To help me break down the games as they come are Aiden Zyrene Moon, David Freak Turley, and Joshua Jat Leesman. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic. I'm really excited to see how this first third of the season wraps up.
Well, and just that, we are approaching that, 1/3 mark in the season, and already we're starting to see some emergence of hierarchy between the teams.
Yeah, I think CLG is the team that I have my eye on the most here because they've kind of come together underneath their leadership and really seem like a cohesive unit. They seem more like a team than any other team currently in the LCS. Aframu's making plays around the map. Xmithy's doing a good job in the jungle. Link is looking in top performance, save for every now and then he'll have a little slip up. And Zion, in addition to the roster, is causing pressure that they sorely needed on that top lane.
Yeah, I mean, CLG fans are having flashbacks to all the other times they thought CLG was going to be a great team. This time, though, it does actually seem more promising. The team I'm paying attention to right now, though, is TSM, only because they are actually the defending champions, and if not for the offseason slip-up, this would almost be a continuation of their run in the playoffs last year. The big acquisition of Santorin that was a question mark for a lot of people, whether or not he could replace Amazing, seems like his synergy might even be higher after a third of a season, not even.
That's true. I got to agree. TSM's looking really good. And I agree with you guys that TSM CLG seem top two. What I'm interested in is the battle for third. And it's Team Impulse, in my mind, Team Liquid, and Cloud9. Cloud9 looking at third place is weird for some people, but basically it seems like Impulse have built the roster together. They're looking pretty good already. People are underestimating their bot lane, but those guys look good. Cloud9, if High gets back in a decent shape, it's Cloud9, of course, they're going to be great. And then finally, Team Liquid, for the first time, they gave Piglet a champion that he can excel on individually, and suddenly Team Liquid's crushing people with no contest. So those guys, I'm really excited to see where they shape up as the season goes on.
Well, Impulse is going to have their opportunity to kind of jump into the top tier as they play TSM today, and that's going to bring about some very interesting lane matchups.
Yeah, it's going to be the last game of the day. I think the most interesting game of the day as well. Dyrus versus Impact is a rematch. They played twice during the World Championship in 2013. TSM got destroyed in those games, and I remember Dyrus kind of going on the record saying Season 3 Worlds was his worst performance as far as Worlds go, and he's going to want to get a little bit of redemption for that in the game against Impact.
And the lane I actually want to watch for, I do agree that top lane's going to be really interesting, but for me,
every lane in that game.
Well, it's true, but as an AD carry player, I'm really excited for the bot lane here because we've got Apollo, formerly with Fusion, again, doing really well in the North American LCS. People were so ready to trash on their duo lane. It's looking good, and here's their next test. Here's Apollo and Adrian facing Wild Turtle and Lust Boy. Like, you do well against those guys as well, it's official, they're a good duo lane.
Wiz Fusion would have had no chance in that matchup.
No. Apollo, though,
this is the rebranding, it did it
He's
for
a
him.
god, literally.
That's very true, too. Well, let's check out the highlights you were calling out on LCS Big Plays. Up first from TSM versus Dignitas, Dyrus catches Rek'Sai. At Hawksrick says, that Maokai jump was the most amazing play I've seen in some time. Here's your number 3.
Yeah, Dyrus was always saving his Arcane Smash just in case Gamsu tried to ult away. And he's done.
Oh, plays! The plays.
Sapling for the vision.
So Dyrus talked about how, or we heard them talk about on the desk, that Dyrus hasn't played that matchup in the top lane. And actually, Rek'Sai ultimate is interrupted by champion and turret damage. So it was actually already interrupted by the sapling, and the flash in for the Twisted Advance was a little gratuitous, but it did secure them the kill.
Yeah, absolutely. He almost escaped after that, even so. So it
Definitely
was
looked like the flash root was what stopped it.
Yeah, most TPs are interrupted by roots, but it's just damage because it's a 1.5-second channel. It's too quick to kind of react to.
I also learned that Rek'Sai is a female void monster.
Really?
Today.
I feel like you learn that every week, Chad.
It's
Jad's
one
been,
of those
Jad's been struggling with that concept
It's
for
a
quite some
work in
time now.
Day 15, some people say Jad is still calling Rek'Sai male.
Well, hey, he's got it, though. Look,
Yeah.
he's owning up to it. I like it. And then from Gravity versus Team Impulse, at Avi Jintantu says, oh, hashtag enough said. Well, that tweet speaks for itself, so let's just roll the clip.
Of course.
It's good that they pressure to fight.
They can actually stick around for an hip too. Oh, God.
Jeez.
Who needs words when
So
that
much-
happens to you?
So much follow-up. You thought he was alive. You thought he was alive. Nope.
Honestly,
There it is.
it caught a lot of us off guard, I think.
Yeah.
was the big thing.
man,
Especially
but-
Rip.
Rip especially was caught off guard.
The coordination they had there, they all speak English in their chat, in their comms, but they just sent down all the ultimates speaking the same language there.
Yeah, they're spoken pirate. R for all of them.
Nope.
Nope, that was
You're darn right.
And your number... Really? Oh, my God. Okay, and your number one was Quas with the fancy footwork. At Demi Ale points out, give me them fantasy points. Quas with that 1v2. Here's your number one.
Careful though for Quas. He's a bit alone. Will root Chris, dodge the stun, but now he's gotten time for Impaler to show up. His
There's no tunnels here either.
Ooh, self-ult to dodge the knockup. E's got to be up by now. It is. But he might just kill Impaler the whole time. Wow, that damage output! Quas in a 1v2!
The timely ultimate on himself, not taking the Q damage from Jarvan. And we always talk about if you miss the EQ for Jarvan, you're going to be in big trouble. Quas sees the kill opportunity by flashing back and flashes back in for it.
And I think it's incredible how Quas knew what was going on the entire time. As soon as he sees Impaler come in for the gank, he throws his first Q on him, right? Hits the full spell rotation. Impaler still doesn't realize he's dead. After the Frozen Tomb gets popped, Impaler's like walking in front of him, like, all right, when you E, I'm gonna be in your way. And Quas is like, great, I'm gonna kill you. Thanks for rocking my skill shots, bro. And it was just really good, immediate decision making by Quas, and it paid off because of that.
Yeah, and that's pretty much as perfectly as Quas could have played that. We saw Impaler actually position himself for the second Q on the E to try and knock him up afterwards.
Yeah.
And if Quas had gone for the R onto Impaler instead of himself, he probably would have taken too much damage from Sion during that duration.
Yeah, great stuff.
Very solid awareness by Quas all around. There you go.
Start with the same thing.
Keep sharing your LCS big plays today, and if you're hoping to see your tweet on the PTL show, use the hashtag #ThePenta. Now, to remind everyone where the teams are, let's pull up the standings. In first place, it's CounterLogic Gaming and Team Solo Mid. Following from first, it's Gravity, who joins Impulse and Liquid in the tie for third. In sixth, it's another three-way tie with Cloud9, Team 8, and WinterFox. Then Coast and Team Dignitas are sitting in last. Up first on the Rift today, it's going to be Cloud9 versus Coast. After that, then we're going to have CounterLogic Gaming with Gravity, and we'll conclude the week with TSM versus Team Impulse. Now, players are always looking for champs or dangerous combinations that will give their team the edge. Well, in the offseason, the game got a little jolt from Little Champion with some major rage issues.
Gnar is a very versatile top laner. He can do basically anything and everything.
What you want to do is always having an eye on your fury bar, regeneration bar, so you know when your passive's coming up soon.
이제 서서히 압박하다가 그거 100 됐다 싶으면 이제 점프해서 딜교를 하는 거고.
Battle in the top lane. Can he get up?
Oh, he's gonna Gnar! No way! That's why you don't fight Mega Gnar!
Narvan is the term Jarvan and Gnar put together as a setup for a combo.
Liquid's gonna pick up the combo.
There it is, the Gnar Jarvan.
They're both pretty high priority picks, and the fact that they have synergy together makes it even better. And if generally one team picks one, then the other team should deny the other one, so they don't have that strong combo potential.
Narvan's engage potential is huge.
It's really easy to clump everybody up with the Jarvan ultimate and then just hit the Gnar ultimate off of that and just clean up.
You need to be very, very wary of flanks when playing against Narvan, because if they flank you out of nowhere and you're not ready for the combo, you'll just get CC'd for a really, really long time.
It's a pretty telegraphed kind of initiate. So you see Gnar, he's powering up and he gets in his mega farm. The moment you see him mega farm, you just run as far away as you can and don't fight. And then once the Gnar is out of his mega farm, that's when you fight and try to engage on them then. Gnar is He's pretty strong champion right now, but he's not that strong when he's a mini Gnar.
It's not something that's going to make or break the game. It's just a very neat combo and, you know, a very neat trick that will help you do more in the game.
Yeah, and we saw yesterday in the Winter Fox versus CLG game that even when they are very far behind, when they got that one combination, a lot of people had that heart attack, like, oh my God, are they going to come back? Is that the game-winning team fight right there? Or is it at least going to get them back? So it always has potential for a comeback if you execute it properly.
Yeah, I do think Darius's point about it being a somewhat telegraphed combo, though, kind of holds true. We have seen the better teams in the LCS, like TSM, play against Gnar very well in avoiding walls and things. So if teams tunnel on it too hard, we've been seeing them getting punished, I think, is important to note. But together, really good combo.
Right, we've seen champions like Janna prioritized, good at knocking back Gnar, and you compare that to champions like Malphite, who are immune to Janna and have the much more guaranteed engage. You can see sort of the breadth of how the engage options work.
Yeah, and I like the point of going after him when he's mini Gnar. He has some of the lowest base stats in the game during that to compensate for when he's mega Gnar. He has the highest base stats in the game. So that's when you want to go after him.
We'll see how many teams decide to prioritize that duo today. We are going to throw it over to the caster desk to get us into game one, though.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, everyone. I am Rivington Bisson III, and riding shotgun with me is the brains behind Chemical Pizza and one of the office official enforcers of Silly Hat Fridays. You know him as the professor. We here on the LCS crew call him Sir. Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler.
Wow, that was elaborate. Here, have a Poro, Riv.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. We're going to load up into our first match. It's Cloud9 versus Team Coast. It's why you're all here, and it's what we're about to get to. Yesterday, Coast looked to be scrambling, unsure how to handle the well-oiled machine that is Team Liquid.
Yeah, in previous weeks, Coast had strong performances in the early game, but they picked some rough lane matchups, and they were trying to find a way to handle Piglet's Vayne. You know, first they tried to gank him, that didn't work out. So, tried to lane swap, that didn't work out either. And then their last-ditch effort to make a team play also was just a little bit too late.
Maybe again today. We saw Cloud9 overcome a similar slow start, with High getting targeted for Casten's weak early game, as well as a very quick 7-minute push by 3 of his opponents to take mid-turret.
Yeah, the team did not panic, and they returned to a strategy that has worked in the past. It was Meteos making one of those early tower dives to get balls, first blood, and get ahead. Cloud9 got that win, and they're showing improvement week after week as they continue to work on those internal issues that have been cropping up. We heard High in his interview acknowledging that he is struggling with some confidence issues, but he also gave his teammates a lot of credit, saying, you know, as long as he doesn't feed, then they're going to continue to get wins.
This is true. He did say that. He did say that.
Notice that we are missing the earring now.
Yeah.
They get a lot of wins when he doesn't wear it.
It's a new move. Even if you've got a track record of success, losing is never easy, and High acknowledges that it can take a toll on the team.
It hurts your team morale. It's very hard to, improve when everyone's losing, you don't know why, and then you just start pointing fingers at people. And I can really understand with the other teams that start losing a lot, because it sucks a lot. I can see why teams break up. I can see why players start to dislike each other, and it really puts you in a bind. It's really tough to come back from that.
Interesting to hear teams that have always kind of been at the top also go through the same troubles that teams who falter.
Yeah, it's a very, very important point to make. And that's one of the things that has people a little bit worried for CLG right now, too, because CLG are finally, everybody's happy-go-lucky. They're all friends. They're like, yes, everyone speaks English now.
It's the golden age.
We're best buddies. It's going to be the golden age. But when they start losing, that's the true test.
That'll be the true test indeed. Right now, we're going to get into the test of game one. Let's check out the starting lineups on the blue side. It's Cloud9. Balls in the top lane. Meteos in the jungle. High in mid. Sneaky at 80 carry. And Lemon Nation on support.
And on the red side, it's Coast. Up top is Chris. In the jungle, Impaler. Mid Jezzes, 80 carry. Mash and support Sheep.
So coming out of this game, obviously Coast is going to have done their homework, but what should they be looking to do? We see and know that Jez is going to play safe. Do they kind of put it on Impaler to run hard? Chris was doing well previously. What are the options?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing here for Coast, because I would definitely say they want to play their strengths and go with a stronger early game team composition, because that's where they have been getting their leads, and then just work on not messing up in the late game shot calling.
Right.
And what they would like to do is attack high like most of the other teams have been doing versus Cloud9. However, Jez, as you mentioned, is a little bit more of the farm-heavy mid laner. He's a little bit more timid, likes to wait around in the mid lane until later in the game rather than making early moves. So I don't know if that will actually work out with Coast. It would have to be Impaler, the guy to actually bring a lot of the pressure.
Well, we'll see what he chooses to do. It's been Rengar, Jarvan, and Rek'Sai. Those three have been his forte so far. Right now, we see a few mid bans coming out. Last time Cloud9 played, mid bans were focused against High to make sure he had trouble, but he got the Kassadin, and that won't happen this time.
Right. There is a theme here with the Coast ban so far. Mid lane champions that High has played that do have jumps or dashes or some sort of move.
Any safety.
So 2 of those banned out already. Nara and Aurelia as well. So these are a lot of top lane bans, as Lissandra can also be considered a top lane ban, as well as Kassadin. But they leave up the main top lane pick for Cloud9, 4 balls, the classic Rumble. We'll see if he still has it.
This is the second time it hasn't been banned. He picks it up. So everybody's definitely been taking that away from Cloud9. He had it one other time that he could have taken it, but decided to go with a Gnar. He wants the Rumble this time. They feel like it's going to give him what they want throughout the game. And now Coast to answer. What can they start to bring out?
I like the mouse over already. Just even thinking about Mundo.
Why is that?
People are double AP is extremely popular now, and with Rumble already locked in, that's a very, very high likelihood that it'll be a double AP comp. Mundo always has thrived in the double APs, and there was recently that cost increase for the Morellonomicon, so it's not quite as ridiculously efficient as it was before, and people might not get it as early.
There's the Xerath. I think if they don't decide to go with a double AP, High used to be able to play Corki in the mid lane. I wonder if he actually has been trying that at all, because we've seen it a few times.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting pickup for them. Impaler does get the Jarvan, though, so plays can be made from that position. He gets one of his comfort picks. And Jez is going to be able to have that safe, clear wave play on Xerath.
Yeah, the very long range locked in from Xerath. Really early pick from him, but they do take away one of the biggest problems that Xerath does have, which is Jarvan.
Yep.
Instant quick lock in here from Cloud9 for the bottom lane without even seeing what they're playing against. Morgana has had such a huge impact so far in North American LCS, really rising in popularity for supports that get to roam a lot. And if you have a strong AD carry like Sneaky, then we may see Lemon Nation and Sneaky shoving up with Graves and buying Lemon Nation some time to make moves elsewhere.
And Sneaky has been, like you said, playing very strong and feeling comfortable across the board. This is actually the first time he'll be doubling up on a champion, the second time on Graves. So he's gone a different AD carry throughout his games and hasn't seen a problem yet.
Yeah, well, it looks pretty good so far. You know, Cloud9, they've got 2 really strong AoE ultimates in Grave and Rumble, so they have a pretty good, mid-game team fight there. Graves definitely brings a lot more AoE than most other AD carries, and if one of those bindings lands, then they can easily force that fight. Janna locked in on the other side, though. Of course, still the queen of disengage. Very, very strong support at the moment. Kind of surprised that nobody picked up Annie for the initiate, but Coast needs some disengage here. It looks like they want to work around the recent strategy from Cloud9 that we have seen.
Coast pickup, flying through the stats there. It may be our first Lucian, if I did see correctly, so that'll be interesting for MASH. And on the other side, Vi. Meteos liked that last time, so they decided to stick with Vi in the jungle. And High, he gets one of those champions, Kobe, with the moves. He gets LeBlanc this time.
So he did get one of the few AP carry mids left that do have jumps. LeBlanc, he should be able to stay safe here. Versus Xerath, High will actually probably be trying to put some pressure on him, on Jez's here. LeBlanc, with especially the Vi, will have that level 6 threat.
Yeah.
Xerath's going to have to play far back and just farm. Jez's will be fine with that play style, though, so maybe Midos will, again, turn his attention towards balls. Get Rumble fed, and once you have a fed Rumble early game, you can turn that into that team fight you're looking for.
Team fights are what Cloud9 loves to look for as well. And we may have a Maokai picked up here for Chris, as he was reactivated. We've seen a lot more of him, and that will be the lock-in to round out the composition. And that was also, we have to remember that Jez went for a blind pick on that Xerath, not knowing what was going to happen, so he wanted it.
I mean, they locked it in with Jarvan, so that's one of the key ones.
For the safety in that.
Vi was still up, and Midos immediately goes for it. So we'll see how many times he looks to pick up Jez's. But really, I think the thing that Coast are going to have to look out for are the mid-game picks from Cloud9. Cloud9 probably going to focus on their classic ward control, get the vision early, and then use Morgana and LeBlanc to pick somebody off and work from there.
Well, we do hear a lot about rotations and in transit to different places, helping these pick teams get control of the game. We've seen it from Alpha Ramu and the likes of the picks from him, from Blitzcrank and Morgana. Like you said, Cloud9 will have that chance here. But Coast trying to stop the bleeding here, trying to get themselves some win as we're just now a third of the way through. And things are going to start getting tight. You know, you don't have, like I said before, you don't have a super week to surge 4 games and hope your opponents do worse.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
gotta
very
start
tough.
now.
Gotta start now if you haven't already. So now that you guys have seen the team comps, let us know who you're predicting to win. Tweet hashtag C9win or hashtag CSTwin to @LOL Esports. We'll calculate your votes throughout the game. You know you can vote more than once, so feel free to do so as you watch all of the LCS big plays come out this game. Everybody's excited. How you doing? It's game time.
All right, so I also want to see what MashMe is able to do, because Lucian Janna used to be the go-to bottom lane. Lucian got quite a bit of nerfs. Janna got a little bit of nerf as well. And ever since, you know, Lucian got those nerfs, some people have been shying away from him, even comparing him to Graves and saying, you know, he's very similar but a bit weaker. However, we've seen, especially in Europe, Forgiven picking Lucian right into Reckless Graves and doing just fine. So MashMe confident as well, and we'll see how they play it out. So far, standard lane matchup, so we probably will see this 2 versus 2.
Cloud9 is going to go. Oh, Sheep is going to be able to see this. So the communication already starting. They can stay safe in the early game, and you already see that Chris and Impaler are making their way over to get the same amount of wards.
Yeah, pretty standard. Deep ward's going down here for both teams. Everybody's gotten into the habit trying to find out where the lane matchups are going. I will see Chris place his.
Oh, auto attacks for days. Oh, he didn't stay. I guess he knew that Impaler was also in there. Now, looking at this, we kind of said being in transit would be a bad thing. Are Cloud9 going to try to force Coast into, or not force Coast, but is Coast going to want the lane swap and then Cloud9 try to bring it back and forth?
Yeah, so they're looking for it right now. I don't know how bad Cloud9 are going to look to match it up.
Okay.
If they would actually recall out of a lane, because Coast already positioning up top. So it looks like Cloud9 will just leave it. They will take the swap, and Rumble will start Wolves. Maokai, of course, whether you're lane swapping or not, pretty much all Maokai should start Wraith Camp. They're very easy. Chris actually mistimed his saplings. Because he went to go put that ward down, he didn't get back in time. Ideally, right at 1 minute and 20 seconds, you can start stacking up saplings. Then they will instantly blow up all the small ones, and you can even stick around and take out the big raptor. But since he had to place that deep ward, he does not get to pull it off. Wild Balls gets the entire wolf camp.
Yeah, nicely done there. Pinching a wolf into the wall, so we actually saved a bit of damage on the leash. Oh, elimination to the mid lane. We've seen a lot of teams doing this back and forth. That's the barrier that Jez has brought to lane to save his life.
Yeah, especially with a champion that can have that level 1 crowd control as your support. We've seen it so much starting out in the mid lane and looking to blow a summoner. He does get the barrier, the lesser of the 2 summoners from Jez's, but he did get something. Hai also burned his Ignite in that, so not going to gain a whole lot. Some decent harass, though, onto Jez's. He's been pinged out. Elimination was seen. Doesn't go all the way in to check. And actually, I'm curious if he's going to actually go up there and protect balls, because they haven't had vision yet. And you always have to be wary of those 4-man tower zoning efforts in the lane swaps.
We already saw the pressure mid lane, which we've actually gotten the past few days. And now to the top lane here. This is going to be onto balls. They missed the flag and drag. He should be okay for the time being here. Now Impaler takes the hit. That's going to be double bust over to top lane. Huge there for ball.
So that's why we call them the 4-man tower zoning efforts, or 4-man dives. These turrets, buffed in the preseason, much stronger, and it's much harder to pull off those tower dives. If your support is Janna, not something like Morgana who has the lockdown, who has some CC like that, fairly dangerous to pull it off. Coast bungle the effort, and Balls not only gets first blood, but he gets double buffs on Rumble. This is exactly how Cloud9 like to start it off. Ball's in a great position to carry. Meanwhile, Chris was zoned out because Cloud9 actually did a better job. They froze their lane and forced Chris to come out to try and soak up that experience. So Cloud9, no surprise here, handling the lane swap much, much better.
So true. And I can't remember just how many times I can remember. But you've said that Rumble can turn a gank around for himself, just easily in, out, and you have no idea that it's going to happen. Balls does that for himself. Great play so far coming in here from Cloud9. They get themselves a bit of a lead and a little bit of pressure relief. Now they can start playing with things. Oh, 2v1 by himself. Can't even do anything about it. Overheating is the only reason he turned around. You can see he's right back in it once he's able to cast.
Yeah, he got a ginormous trade right there. He did end up missing the cannon minion because he was so hyped up taking such a good trade.
Impaler wants
but
to bust
Impaler
back.
is drawn up top. Once balls hit 6, even that 3-man gank, if they use both the AD carry support and jungler, balls would still have a good chance of turning that around and getting a kill. Almost level 6 already. So pretty much obvious here, very early team fight control from Cloud9. They can force any objective that they want to. This really frees up Lemonation and Meteos to gain complete ward control. We'll see if they can set up enough vision to really transition this power into the mid game.
Well, High staying safe, doing what he said he would. The rest of the team can really handle themselves well throughout the laning phase. Cloud9 probably one of the stronger teams, just the regular laning phase through the game, and then mid-game decisions are also a strong part of their strategy. So this is going to be very hard for Coast to come back. Already with their late-game decisions, something that's being called into question. This game not looking good to start off.
Well, Costa probably already looking more towards that late game.
Yeah, right. You're going to have to now.
Chris,
stay safe.
Looks like Chris will be going the standard Route of Ages build. He's got some support now from Sheep to help him get CS and even it up there with balls. But Lemon continues to land the bindings.
You can also see Impaler's jungle quite affected here. Level 4, 17 CS. Meteos able to pick up even just more now because he's so far ahead.
Crap control for Meteos, yes. But the interesting thing is that Coast, since they've actually decided to funnel their money up in the top lane into MASH, because Chris would have a really hard time fighting Balls since Balls got first blood. That 1v1, a level 6 Rumble versus a level 4 Maokai, really scary. MashMe has a bit better of a chance of, trying to poke some CS from range as Lucian, and since he does have a dash as well, a bit safer for him. But really, nobody wants to be up in that lane against the First Blood Rumble.
Already has boots, too.
So they're all leaving, and they're actually going to try and make a play bottom hit, it seems here. Maybe Chris is going to use his teleport soon once the cavalry arrives. Probably go back to base and then teleport up to try and hug turret.
He's
and
actually
soak
half
up
on that
against Balls. The problem is that Balls minion wave actually pushing towards him, so they would actually have to call jungle support or something to get that wave all the way into the wall and reset.
Yeah, he actually is preventing any farm with Flamespitter right now, just using Scrap Shield to keep his charge up in that gauge. So it's going to be really hard. That's going to be no easier for Chris, and he just got pushed out of bottom lane. So the walk up there, he's thinking about it. He's thinking of how to mitigate this. Maybe Impaler to come up top. Balls does have that double buff worn off now, but he'll be safe anyways.
Yeah, he's managing the wave really well. You can see he's pruning it so it's not too big. If you stack up way too many ranged minions, it gets a little bit too much, but he's got it in just the right place here. So Pink Ward already in place. I would expect Meteos to go up there. He's got ultimate available, and there's no way that Chris can get anything in this game. If Meteos goes top and camps the Pink Ward, then Chris is going to have to be zoned out of experience or die. Meteos, though, is on the bottom side. Looks like he will focus down there and maybe use his first ultimate. As soon as you get that thing on Vi, you're itching to use it because it is so strong, almost guaranteeing at least a summoner blown.
A good sweep and then a good ping following after actually stops Meteos from going in. Not sure that he can get the gank, and he may have a good counter here.
Yep, Meteos heads up top instead because down bottom, of course, SmashMe and Sheep are playing safe because of the item discrepancy. They actually lost out in the swap as well. As we said, Chris, not a lot of options, so he goes mid since he cannot go top. And once again, another team focuses on high, but he's able to get out with just burning his flash.
I mean, I understand you're waiting for the perfect moment, but he was within inches of being able to Twisted advance him.
Flash is down here for Chris. I didn't even notice that he actually flashed as well, but didn't quite go the distance there.
High's flash as he flashed in, so it was good timing on both of them. Very heady movement. Blue buffs are going to be transferred over. We'll see what happens here now in the mid lane. Both of the mid laners have kind of been outspoken about playing safe, so maybe not a lot. We do see the Chalice on the side of Jez's and the Fiendish Codex for some damage on high. And to this bottom lane. Oh, wait, go ahead.
We just want to keep, the bottom lane's getting shoved in here, really strong by Cloud9 since they have that BF to pickaxe, but also, so there's not a lot Mash could do, but also keep tabs on Chris. Since that, the last time we checked in on balls, he still has the wave in the same spot, and since Chris cannot do anything, he tried to roam mid, and then he went and farmed the Krugs, and that is it. For the last 2 minutes, they haven't been able to get anything for their top laner, and balls is up to level 8 now. Could absolutely crush Chris. Here comes Minos to camp that pink ward we were looking for. But man, this is again, Cloud9, immaculate lane swap to start this one out. And it was pretty much, well, you can attribute a lot of it to Coast's mistake with the dive as well, but this is how Cloud9 start off so many of their games. Very big early lead.
And Coast have invested quite a bit of money into the ward control here, but none of it saw Meteos. 3 pink wards behind the Baron. He does get that sapling out, though. Pretty much going to save his life. I wouldn't be surprised if they still decide to go into this real hard.
So
too long.
They don't have too much deep wards, and those pink wards that you just pointed out, very good line here for Coast. Morgana in the background, so it's a good flash from Jez's. It was a good idea for Cloud9 not to overextend up in that top lane. Didn't know where the jungle was for a counter gank and support roaming as well. High able to even up flashes in mid lane bodes well for him because High is on the assassin, the one with the kill pressure. Xerath has to play a bit more defensively. He's the one who really has to worry. When both flashes are traded, advantage goes to the assassin.
And you look at Impaler here, as you're talking about Jez's, he has to play safer. Looking back, what do you do as Impaler when you lose your double buff like that instantly as a jungler?
Well, you can see he was in complete recovery mode. Wasn't able to get much done, trying to play the vision game here. And you have to always worry about counter ganks. That's why he did not go for much after the early failure. Chris does clear out the ward and open up the way for a gank, though. This is a 3-man gank, so they've padded their numbers in this one a little bit.
See if they could get it with the levels. Uh-oh. Nope. Balls nose. Cleared out. Is a little bit of a different play from Chris. And it looks like he knows to just reward and continue to stay safe in the top lane. Real quiet after that first kill in the game. Cloud9 going for Dragon now. I don't think there's going to be any contest here. The teleport of now a Haunting Guise and Sork Boots Rumble would just be too scary. He could obliterate anybody.
Yeah, and Cloud9, taking advantage.
Oh, that's flash down. He's got safety, though.
I want to see it land. So close. Cloud9 did a good job, taking advantage of the roam top here from 2 members of Coast. Pretty easy dragon pickup for them.
Ouch.
And all of the ward coverage from Coast, you can see, is littered around the top side because they're so scared of what Rumble has become. Meanwhile, Cloud9 shoves straight up the mid here. Xerath doing his best to wave clear, but Jez is running low on mana.
Chris, 100 to 50 CS in that top lane. Can't give this guy his top champion. Fell away for a little bit. Everybody forgot that he played it last year, and then he brings it back. Just balls on Rumble. Can't do much about it. Looking back at the early part, we know he got that double buff, and he's been able to control the lane, giving Meteos time to set up wards and the rest of the team to play it safe. Ganks from Lemon Nation in the early game at level 2s, something we've also seen a lot more. Saw from Bunny Fufu yesterday. And it's starting to all just domino into this now. 2 turrets down. They're looking for that top one to be dropped by balls, but I think he's actually just trying to keep Chris there. Give him something to think about and really not allow him to be with the team. Sneaking out a pan back to bottom. Just everything working out for them here.
Holy moly. Balls has almost 2,000 gold more than Chris. Those CS numbers that you mentioned are very, very daunting right now. Cloud9, not only do they have this ginormous early lead, 14 minutes on the new season, a gold lead like this is almost unheard of. And it's just because they crushed so hard in CS during the lane swap that Coast were the ones to initiate, by the way. Because Cloud9 handled it so well, their mid game is going to be very easy to execute. They also have the team fight comp with Rumble and Graves, who's already got his Infinity Edge. So huge amount of burst in AoE form from Cloud9. They can pretty much take whatever they want on the map. And next Dragon, as soon as that one pops up, should easily go to them, you know, untraded and uncontested.
Well, it's only going to hurt more and more. With that Dragon, they took down the turrets, so that, like you were saying, the spike also in items that Coast cannot match yet. Infinity Edges to just the pickaxe, BF Sword, already passed Morello Namakan onto more ability power. And it's just looking grim. Sneaky can now free farm top. Not really free, the team is there to give him guard, but that'll be the last final outer turret for Coast.
Whew. Let's see what Coast can do, because Tower's falling down.
They're trying.
Like
you can see Impaler knows he can't do much. He's hoping Meteos didn't take his red, but that's gone. So they're kind of they're looking for scraps.
Yeah, and honestly, looking to get deep wards right now should not even be a concern of Coast. Their ward coverage should all be on their own territory. There's no point for Coast to ward up Cloud9's jungle right now because all of the fights are going to take place on Coast's side of the map. And they have to be worried about their own jungle right now because this is where Cloud9 are going to start setting up their picks and, you know, catch them as they swap lanes.
Actually had one of our plays come from this. Same spot Cloud9 is hiding in right here. They may do it again. Hey, shh, shh. They're hiding. I don't think they're going to do anything.
Oh, he's got
This
him.
is so mean.
So close.
That's sapling. Oh, he missed it. They waited so long. Oh. That was just the anti of what was supposed to happen.
Okay, crowd, let's play a new game. Next time they hide in a bush, everyone hold their breath and see if you can hold it until the gank actually comes out. All right, so nothing gained here for Cloud9, but honestly, they have the entire map under control.
Whoa! There we go. He's not going too far. He's pinned in the back. They're able to take down at least Lemon Nation.
Teleport comes in, high collapses. They don't want to let him get away with it.
This could actually still be big. This is now, we're going to see what kind of damage balls can do. But they all run for the hills. They quickly exit that one stage left.
Because it's so early in the game, teams not really used to having this much control over the map. Cloud9 punished right there, you know, for being a little bit overconfident. Really good job by Impaler, still not hesitating because they know Team Coast right now, they have to take advantage of any opportunity that they see.
Yeah.
If they see a support soloed out and you are on Jarvan with your Warrior Enchantment completed, boom, Impaler goes for it. You know, nice job right there, pays off. Jez is able to clean up that kill.
Yep.
Something small here for Coast that they really needed.
It got out safe too. They give the team a little bit of that knowledge that they can make some in and out plays, but I don't know if Cloud9 is going to open up to have that happen again. They have the wards still out. Sweepers are on cooldown for Coast, so they can't really get any of that vision just now. So Cloud9 privy to all the information as they set up even more, getting these items out of base. One Dragon in their name as 30 seconds. Probably the next one won't even be contested here by Coast.
We shall see. Heading over to that side of the map. Both sides of Coast Jungle worded up from Cloud9, so they are ready to pull off one of those picks with their Violet Blanc Morgana. Balls did use his teleport, by the way, in the last jungle fight, so they will not have the extra mobility there. Looks like he's just going to wait around for Dragon, then head up to catch the wave that Chris is shoving. Maokai doing his best. He can actually clear a wave fairly quickly. See how early Balls heads up there. I like this move from Coast, actually. They don't even try and contest Dragon. They actually want to pick off whoever goes to farm the top wave. They know that somebody's going to try and come farm this wave. So they've sent Sheep and Impaler up here to catch Balls.
Oh, got him. He's going to be able to lay the equalizer down. I don't know if he's going to. Doesn't get the ult off. Great job. Called it. Coast was setting up the trap, and they deploy it perfectly. We'll see if Cloud9 can actually answer with an inner, however, on the bottom lane here, knowing that there's so many resources top for Coast.
Yeah, Cloud9 getting really lazy, actually. Even they crushed so hard in CS numbers early, it doesn't matter that much, but you can see cracks already. And if you continue to make lazy plays like that in the mid game, whoa!
Hello, a little bit deeper than he wanted to go. Mash getting that relentless pursuit on to get himself out of the way. Meteo's taking damage here. This could be where Coast kind of shines a bit, catching up on the fight of low HP Cloud9 members. There's one that they wanted. That is, however, high on the backside, being able to take him down. So I guess this one just pans out still, one on each side.
Many of I have gotten a little over-aggressive. Not getting to use his ult, not getting to use his ult for a long time here in this game. Meteo's a little bit impatient, baits in his team, and costs Sneaky a death of all people. Actually the one to pay that price. Yeah. So again, mistake after mistake after mistake from Cloud9. Even though they had this great opening, the game in the state that it is right now, the mid game is really important and very easy for a couple of mistakes to turn around an entire game. People can easily come back from these things because the gold from Dragon is not there. Cloud9, even though they've controlled it, it's just the small statistics. So Meteo's very deep use of his ultimate. And we know how this one ends up. Sneaky went to go follow it up. High went to go try and follow it up.
Yep.
So Chris teleporting in back, takes advantage. They take down the AD carry. And he fires his ultimate to try and get Maokai there. Oh, he died down to something. Oh, it was the Maokai. Okay, so High had his Ignite ticking on him. So Cloud9 did trade. However, I would still chalk that up as a mistake.
For sure. They're definitely not looking as coordinated in these fights for the lead that they have.
Yeah, I mean, it does happen to a lot of people. A lot of people know that feeling of getting so far ahead.
You just fight all willy-nilly.
Exactly. That's a good way to describe it. Now, though, that they've given up so many kills, I think that they will regroup and consolidate their efforts. Vision has started to creep back here from Coast as well. You know, not only were they able to knock down a couple outer turrets because of these lapses in judgment from Cloud9, but they were able to extend some more vision coverage and, you know, take out this network from Cloud9.
Sneaky getting free farm in the bottom lane. He can stay safe. He doesn't actually really have the wards to be doing this right now. In the top side, he sees a few, but it doesn't look like he's going to stay for too long. Elimination in the rest of the team, knowing wards on Baron are going to be imperative coming up soon. And looking at Coast, closing that gold lead just a little bit. That was about 5,000 gold. With the turrets they're able to drop now, it kind of surges back. So if they can get a good fight and keep Cloud9 off of the Rift for just a few seconds, maybe those turrets can get them back into the game. Because I don't know if the full team fight's going to be also going in their favor. Good clear out here by C9, maybe forcing Coast into something they don't want in just a few.
Kind of reminds me of the CLG games. You know, they crushed so hard early and a couple of hiccups in the late game. They're still very much ahead and have a huge lead.
Well, this is what we talked about before, Kobe. When the transition has to happen, that's when Cloud9 will make their picks.
All right, there's pick number 1. Meteos does get to successfully use via ultimate this time around. It's a much better feeling, too, post level 11 when you have your level 2 ultimate.
Feels better.
And the cooldown is much lower.
Oh, dear. Risky ward by Jessis. Could have caught a binding from Lemon there, but they just weren't on point for it. So Cloud9 knows they can do a little bit. Doesn't look like they're going to get a lot out of just Impaler going down.
Yeah, that's the thing. Since they got so
Just
many
wards.
objectives really early in this game, the objectives left are really hard to take. The Baron is extremely difficult this early in the game. Inhibitor turrets are certainly a very tall task.
Oh.
Chris, though.
One after the other. He's going down finally. Great damage. So they can actually take down Chris quite quickly there. That does not spell good things for Coast.
All right, 2 picks back in a row, and Cloud9 feeling much more secure. They do have Baron pinked, but again, fairly early in the game. And since they've already had a few hiccups, don't want to give another opportunity for Coast to come back. Play it slowly here. Maybe pressure some. Oh, never mind. Ping goes down. Oh, there's a bait ping. It wasn't a do Baron ping. It was another, okay, we can probably get another pick with our vision advantage.
We need more pings. You just need more pings.
A bait ping?
You need a bait ping.
Okay.
We're going to bait. Meteos on full Scuttle Crab control this game. A lot of gold there. And as we said, still looking at the CS, Jess has picked himself back up a little bit, put himself on his feet, but the rest of the lanes fully in favor of Cloud9 coming out of this one as we would have expected. And I'll see if they can keep closing the late game. Once they put onto the table that they wanted picks, we saw them get 2 in the top. Go to reorganizing their lanes here, doing a little bit of cleaning up and pruning before they get back to more picks. I don't know what, though. Taylor and the rest of the team are getting their ward coverage as fast as they can.
Yep, they want to take their small opportunity to get towards the Baron, get them in their visions, because they do not want to have to face check the pick squad again. Continue to stack up their advantage, though, Cloud9 here.
That's a big old Vi. Meteos coming out with Warmogs on. Sneaky grabbing. 3rd dragon of the game. Do you usually pick up Warmogs?
So I have, dabbled in Warmogs builds since I saw Azingi strutting his stuff on solo queue with early Warmogs quite often. And I am a pretty big fan of it if you're going to stay out on the Rift for a fairly long time, because the passive regeneration from it is really undervalued from a lot of people, especially as a jungler. You can do a camp while people are rotating around the map, and then join up with your team, and just standing around with your team, waiting for the fight, you will regenerate back to full health very quickly. Plus, I do like it as a first item, defensive item. Base, just straight up health is the way to go, unless you're facing a very focused team that is pretty much all magic or all armor.
All right, well, Cloud9 cleans up the rest of their resources in the blue and red buff area. It looks like they're back to the pick zone. Set this one back up. And already, they weren't even really here for that long, and they already had coverage of that pink ward that was not cleared out by Coast. They're just too afraid to move out. And they're going to be actually able to steal Coast Red. They own nothing of their side of the jungle, and Cloud9 is going to be looking to put the finishing touches on this one maybe quite soon once they break the base. 26 minutes on, and they are going to start the Baron.
All right, vision cleared out once again. Let's see who is bold enough from Coast to come in first. Looks like nobody. Sheep's going to wander over, but he is a little bit too late.
He was just grazing in the fields.
Yeah,
trying to figure out what's going on.
Cloud9, they had such ridiculous early map control that they could take all of the dragons uncontested, and so they could just use all of their ward efforts on that red side of the jungle behind the Baron, and eventually establish just the threat of those picks. Too high for Coast to go check. Now with the Baron, they can easily take the turrets. It was a bit harder before.
That's something that stings. Being able to put that damage on Jez is no way to get it back unless he goes the fountain. So if High decides to do it once more, he's going to be down. That's the Q charged up by Meteos. Ball's actually taking turret damage from the burn on Equalizer, and that's what Coast wants. They go to dive in. Meteos onto Impaler. He's going to fall immediately. There are a few blinking bars here on Sneaky and Balls. They decide to get out of this one. Coast is able to hold the front line.
Definitely could.
Wasn't pretty.
Yeah, exactly. It could have gone better for Cloud9. Ball's interesting ultimate there, but since they're so far ahead, still able to grab that kill, and a lot of damage on that mid turret. Baron, though, with the reduced duration, I think that might be the only push that Cloud9 get to pull off with it, unless they regroup quickly here. Looks like they are buying and heading straight back up mid, though, so they want to get a second push in. We'll see if High, High's going to go back to base as well, so they want to try and get in that second push. We'll see if High gets there in time. Oh, he keeps up the split pushing. Another wave of Baroned up minions, to try and put some pressure on the last standing secondary turret.
These are some pretty good cooldowns at this point for the team. You can see they're all about 75%, just about ready to be up now, so they can go back onto this. And Coast can't even. They know they can't do anything. And that one falls. It's just a matter of time before it's the top turret as well. With Baron being down, bottom lane isn't even a hassle. They have no objectives to worry about. Cloud9 drops the first inhibitor just under 30 minutes into this one. And they just had really good control throughout the game.
They want to try and get the most out of this Baron and get another turret while it's still up. Lebanation also, really securing the end game path here.
Yeah.
Once you're at the point where you have control of Baron, you have the Baron timer, you have a huge lead in the game. I really do like picking up Banner of Command because you can get that magic immunity on those giant cannon minions
Like
right
that
there.
guy?
Yeah, when Baron buffs up his range and you give him magic immunity, you just have to sit back and watch him do his work. Because nobody's going to be able to clear that. You're going to have to use a culling from Mash Me to clear that sucker. Yes, Jess, that's not going to do much. Immune to magic.
He's trying.
They don't want to. There it is. He's trying.
Meteos! Call him Shieldios.
Takes it.
Everybody stood in front of that one.
It didn't even look like that culling would actually take out the full cannon minion.
It probably wouldn't. I think the cannon minion is laughing right now. He's just having a heyday. Oh, what an equalizer! The team is forced to split. Spread and Coast back and forth, and they are going to be able to take down another inhibitor onto this. 1 minute onto Dragon, but that's all the amount of time it may take for Cloud9 to take the rest of the base and the Nexus.
All right, here we go. 30 minutes for Cloud9. Already working on Nexus turrets.
The crowd is giving him the chant. We saw the vote on social media. This is going to be one last attempt. The right of the Arcane. Something we really even have seen Jezz be able to use this game with the pressure he found throughout the team fights. Sheep pushing back balls for one last attack and a 6-4 game, but 30 minutes in. It's a win by Cloud9.
Yep, definitely that well-deserved win for the way that they played the early game. But again, once we see teams get that far ahead, we're always hoping for a really clean, crisp execution and end to the game. And, you know, a couple bumps along the way there.
Few bumps. They got the lane swap they wanted, but gave balls double buffs. Unfortunate.
So that was huge, to say the least.
Yeah, especially a player of his caliber as well that loves to be kind of down on his chances, you know what I mean? He will easily be able to pull that one back up. He likes a challenge, and he was given one today.
He's, I mean, Rumble's already more mid-game focused than Maokai, and if you give him that early first blood double buff, then, you know, nothing Chris could do. Couldn't even go to lane, and Coast not able to do well in the early lane phase once again, so this week they've struggled with that aspect.
It is something they tried to remedy. They said themselves it's not something they think they are very strong in, so they looked to get at least Mash going this game with that early gank. But like we said, it went to the wayside. Cloud9 obviously coming back looking stronger. High keeping with his promise to the team and the fans that he will play a safer mid lane.
Zero deaths for High.
Zero deaths for High. Coming out strong in this one. And just overall, we saw the CS in the lanes, kind of told the story of the game. It really spelled out a lot and foreshadowed the rest of it.
Definitely true. Coast's going to have to revisit their early strategy, especially with being the ones to opt into the lane swap.
Cloud9, they don't make things very easy. Coast didn't either, though. First picking that Xerath, but getting the Jarvan with it to hope that it kind of softened the blow of being able to just be knocked out. And like you said, they forgot about the Vi. Something Meteos has actually been okay with picking lately and really okay with counter jungling you, going in hard, a little bit harder than usual. And it worked.
And even with Xerath being matched up against a LeBlanc and a Vi jungler, you know, it wasn't even the biggest part.
No.
As you said, it was a side lane CS.
So we will see if these guys can keep it up, but we'll see if Coast can also bring themselves back up. It's been a tough season so far, and a lot of people thought they'd be up there. To walk us through Cloud9's methodical win, let's send it over to our guys at the analyst desk.
Thank you, Riv, and a methodical win it was, just that. And it all started with that failed tower dive at the beginning of the game. We are going to just pull that replay up, and Zyrene, I'm going to let you walk through it because that's going to be kind of our central talking point here. So we'll bring that up right now.
Yeah, I want to pick this apart for a second here before we roll it out and take people to dive school for a second, because turrets have two mechanics behind them. The first one is warming up, and the second one is heating up. Warming up buffs the turret up to 75% over 2 hits, increased damage. Then, once it starts focusing up and it's completely warmed up, it starts hitting a champion and buffing its damage versus that champion specifically. So, when we see this happen, it's going to hit Janna twice, and it's going to have that 175% increased damage. It's fully warmed up. Then it swaps to Impaler, and Impaler misses his EQ, misses his damage output onto Rumble. Balls holds his abilities, and we'll start rolling the clip here. And you're going to see here that when it starts hitting Impaler, it's going to be doing 200% increased damage to him and just obliterate him. Balls is not using abilities right now. He's waiting for the turret to swap aggro to one of his aggressors, and then he will turn on them while in the danger zone. And right there, you see it take him out so quickly, and that starts the snowball and gets Balls in a position where the duo lane can no longer handle him, and then nobody else in the game can handle him. He was at his rank 2 ultimate by the time that Chris had a rank 5 Q. It was just a huge level disparity. The CS, he had twice his CS, and then the side lane in the bottom, because you have a Rumble that now can duel your duo lane, your duo lane in the bottom lane is out CSing that top lane duo. And that was the disaster there that started snowballing the game.
They didn't even burn Flash.
Yes, exactly. He still had that.
3:58 into this game. Well, this game is over.
Yep.
Was an unfortunate thing. And obviously Cloud9 executed the next 15 minutes of that lead pretty well. But honestly, like you say, if a 3-man dive works that early, it's hardly an advantage. Like, it's a small advantage. They're putting Rumble back. He was already level 3, so he had a win in itself from the experience. The fact that they did a 3-man dive and just made it even greater for the other side, it's a super lopsided disparity when dives like that go wrong.
And if you want to go.
Yeah, it's typically why we see the double jungle thing go on, right? The top lane and the jungler come together.
Yep.
Right. But right, they start out, the jungler's level 2, they share the next 2 camps. Now your Maokai's level 2. By the way, Twisted Advance into Jarvan Flag and Drag is free. Like, you actually can't do anything about that.
We got to land it, the Flag and Drag,
Sure,
which
but
helps when you have a support that can CC
Yeah.
someone.
Or you W with Maokai, right? If he had been double jungling 4-man dive. That's why we typically see, and Riv talked about it in the cast, but we normally see 4-man dives because they're much more reliable. Greedy from Coast, didn't pay off, skill shots missed. Good job by Balls to dodge everything. Okay, the game went from there. Bouncing off that though, right? Okay, your top lane's winning by a bit. You have maybe 1,000 gold lead from all this. Coast managed to have that become a 5,000 gold lead. And there's something you've got to do between that and 20 minutes that's got to be good. Imperial needs to show up to lanes, reset the waves, don't let those freezes happen forever. Use your jungler to make those lanes turn back around and at least get the gold and XP coming back in. A 3-level disadvantage is not what should happen from that.
Yeah, and exactly. Impaler got into the mindset of, I dove, I lost my buffs, I have to go farm my jungle now, instead of do damage control on what he did to that lane. And then they swapped it back, and Chris really couldn't do anything in that lane. He was zoned completely, throwing saplings for CS, and missing a lot of it too, because the sapling damage is so low. It was just completely unideal situation across the board for Coast because of that one play. And Jessus is not going to take over the game. He's the type of mid laner who is a resource to his team. He's not the type of mid laner where you put resources into him and then he carries the game.
So I'll play devil's advocate on that
Yeah, go ahead.
point.
Okay.
Yes, he messed up the dive, but he is now a Jarvan who's level 3, lost his double buffs, and doesn't have Flash. And he has a Xerath on his team against LeBlanc. He's not ganking that.
No.
Is he going to gank for his Lucian jungling? The only thing he can do is farm. Like, I think the gank in itself was what threw the game for them, but like that's why I said this game is over.
Right.
Because he can't do anything but farm after
I'm
that.
not saying gank. I'm definitely not saying gank. I'm saying shove lanes to break freezes. Because this is what Cloud9 did, is because they had such an advantage, no one tried to break any freezes, right? Maokai can't walk up and like mess with Rumble. Like we saw multiple clips of Balls sitting there, slowly last hitting, keeping 6 caster minions alive, and every time his wave shows up, it would get cleared. Have Jarvan show up, QE the wave, don't jump into it, just clear the minions off, bounce it off the turret, and then now Maokai can actually stay in XP range without being afraid of Vi.
There's not much to talk about this game. I feel like two things mattered in this game: the dive and Banner of Command.
Let's move to Banner. I really want to talk about Banner. That is such an amazing item. Like the only thing you can really do is like walk up, and I believe you can smite those minions still to get some damage on it, but you can't do anything with it. The long-range Xerath poke, the Chris poke, the fact that Meteos stood in front of it was brilliant. And I know like Banner of Command, I want to see it more often. I want to see it a lot more often. Like I know that it's actually kind of good against Kassadin. Kassadin has to walk up and auto-attack it to clear it. It's really good against that champion.
I want to touch on another thing within the game, and I think we can all agree, right? We all agree that the failed gank top lane did put Coast back a large amount. Now, whether or not there were a few smaller things that could have lessened that gold deficit, I want to look at how Cloud9 played the gold advantage and how Coast can improve playing from behind, what they can look to do to better deal with situations like that. So with Cloud9 first, they gave up 2 kills for nothing later at 2 separate occasions later in the game with a massive gold lead. And in my opinion, it was because they had a very distinct lack of warding deep into the jungle. They were warding heavily in the bottom river to control Dragon, but aside from that, they were then walking into the red side jungle, roaming into the red side jungle with no vision, got caught in death brushes.
Yeah, so... Oh, go for it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so certainly there was some element of C9 over-aggressing. We saw the bot lane tier 2 dive was a bit flubbed. Thing is, they made the same choices over and over again, just sometimes it worked. Like when they dove bot lane tier 2, it was the exact same decision making as when they like Vi ulted, I think it was Impaler on like the red buff. Like they don't have vision behind where they're diving in just because the wards aren't there. In one case, there was a Xerath and a Maokai teleporting in one case there wasn't. So one of these didn't work, one of these did. And like 80% of those fights do actually work out. I can't say it's necessarily a horrible idea for C9, but there are risks all the same because you can't have literally perfect vision. That said though, Coast have now twice in a row shown that they are very good at just showing up somewhere and death brushing you. It's very good by them. They're trying to make these plays to get back in. C9 needed to respect that a bit better and realize that, hey, look, Coast is going to show up on you guys at some point. Be a little bit less aggressive maybe.
Yeah, see, as you can see, there's not much to say about that game. The Cloud9 over-aggression being punished for it, like he said, you can't have perfect ward control of all areas of the map, but the fact that they got those picks a little too late in the game, mid-game composition's going to come online here. Like I said, the Rumble ulti at rank 2, the base damages are really high. They catch somebody out, but then Cloud9 was really good to punish that and just get a tier 2 turret for it. Like there were a lot of times that they are able to get something in return and making these exchanges. So I think that Cloud9 actually know how to play against being picked off with one person fairly well. The over-aggression and like the desire to close the game out very quickly is something that might bite them if they were more even. But I think like the calls at that point, they're kind of like, we're phoning this in, we're so far ahead that I don't fault them for the sloppy plays later on.
Yeah, definitely a strong showing, regardless, for Cloud9 there. We are going to step away while Counterlogic Gaming and Gravity load in for our next match. So keep it tuned right here. The NALCS returns after this.
This is bigger than us. This isn't just about Coast anymore. This is about underdogs
this is
all
much
over the
bigger
world.
than us.
We're showing them that you can stand up to the man today, boys.
This is going to be on to balls. They missed the flag and drag. He should be okay for the time being here. Now Impaler takes the hit. That's going to be double bust over to top lane. And that's what Coast wants. They go to dive in. Meteos on to Impaler. He's going to fall immediately. He's just having a heyday. Oh, what an equalizer. The team is forced to split. 30 minutes in. It's a win by Cloud9.